very, very careful, and employers will not join and participate if they think it's not confidential and that the boss has got all my personal data.
And that privacy is definitely outlined also in great detail in the Model Wellness Guide. I do want to share with you one example which I think is hilarious. So again, as an employer, you need to maintain that you're 100% anonymous, and this is all voluntary, and that again, you're not doing anything with that information. But I will share with you, it's hilarious. It was one organization we worked with through the Working on Wellness Initiative. It was a small manufacturing company. They did everything up front to make sure that they kind of addressed the privacy concern of completing as actually a screening event. So they went through all the ropes and hurdles. They made sure they did it a third-party vendor. It's a big discussion leading up. People were very concerned about privacy. So they took every effort. They actually wrote down individual screening numbers in a signed, sealed envelope. They delivered that off-site at a third-party time. People were so concerned about it initially. What do you think happened after that screening event? They opened it right up, and Bobby, look what I got. My number is lower than your number, and your number is lower than my number. But that doesn't matter, because that's the employee doing that information and sharing it, not the employer sharing that information. So they totally share it. You all got it. You guessed that answer. It happens all the time. But again, it's a much different light when it's Lisa sharing with Bobby her number and Bobby sharing with Lisa than when the employer is taking any type of kind of aggregate information and making it specific to that employer.
80% of all our chambers members are 10 employees and under.
Exactly.
You know, and I see a challenge putting something like that, you know, onerous on that company.
Right.
Financial challenge, time challenge,
Logistics.
employee challenge. They're just trying to make ends meet. They're just trying to do their business.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I guess the three of our chambers got together to support this, to see, is there some sort of facilitation? I'm still concerned about the HIPAA laws.
Right.
And no offense, Martin, but I'm not sure the chamber wants to be in that role
Yeah.
of collecting people's health.
So I don't necessarily think that the chamber would collect. I mean, I think the chamber could bring in a vendor or organize
Absolutely,
a
yeah.
group, you know, an insurer who's willing to kind of do that for the
Yeah.
group. But there's information out there on kind of the small business turnkey that you have with you,
Yeah,
and that's kind of an online platform, and
Okay.
those vendors like this one and like others can do those kinds of things. I mean, they can. They're totally confidential. Some of them have internet-based platforms. They have paper products to use. You get aggregate reports, and they're used to managing multiple locations. So it's just like a business with multiple business units.
But the chamber would come together and then partner with a third party.
Right.
And then the chamber would recruit the employers, and the employers would then market it and communicate it to their employees.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the type of data that you would get from an aggregated HRA would not necessarily be, we have one employee with a BMI over 40, but it would be 14% of our employees are categorized as overweight or obese.
That's correct. It's aggregated
So,
information, that's correct.
even for a 10 employee
That's correct.
company,
That's correct.
it really is de-identified. It really is a little more blinded and protected.
And that's pretty much the norm nowadays, but you still want to make sure that you're communicating that to your members, and you want to make sure that the employers are communicating that to their employees.
Yeah.
I have I know probably a list of questions here, but one of them, when you talked about what the cost was, there's a tax credit. So there's going to be a cost to it, company in order to
Yes.
tax credit anyway. And is the tax credit state and federal? But, is it a tax credit against state and federal taxes or just state taxes?
I think it's just a state.
I think it's just a state.
Right, okay. So, and the other things, when you mention having, smoking or weight loss or something like that, a lot of insurance companies do offer that as part of their insurance. So is that part of the, again, there has to be a cost to the employer of doing this somewhere, and so they actually have to have a third party doing something, or because they can say, oh, well, we have a smoking cessation program putting up signs, or what is it, the cost of the signs? I mean, there really has to be a third party doing this, doesn't there?
It doesn't have to be a third party. So two points to your question. On the wellness tax credit website, it gives you all various eligible costs that would be approved and considered eligible costs in order to receive the 10% back. So that is clearly outlined on the website. That is the first piece.
10 to 25.
It's 25 up to a maximum of 10,000, 25%. Yep. The second piece is to say that you don't have to necessarily have a third party. So there are some eligible costs that as a business, you could specifically say, okay, we're gonna have an evidence-based wellness program, and we're gonna do A, B, and C. And the activities and the programs and the policies and the support and the communication that you put forward at an organization in order to promote those could be eligible costs. So it doesn't have to be a third-party vendor, it could be. But you're also not gonna get, as an organization, if you do nothing else other than partner with your insurance company and don't put a single dime in, you're not gonna be eligible for the tax credit, because that's already a cost you're paying for. It needs to be something in addition to what you're getting through your insurance benefit, that as an organization, you're going above and beyond what is offered through your insurance plan, and you're spending money to get that tax credit back, just like you would in any other kind of rebate or, financial
And
subsidy.
something
It's a
that
subsidy.
assigns costs,
And-
something
That's
like
correct.
that.
There are a lot of quantifiable costs in
A
there.
lot, yeah.
So if you are doing a healthy lunchtime program and you're paying for the food and you're paying your employees to go, the cost of the time away from the job is also
Included,
So
absolutely.
there are
Okay.
there's lots of things that you can use to qualify.
And presumably the wellness champion is the one who would be hanging the signs, and so the time,
Yeah, so
that employee's
I mean,
time.
and,
that's
and
correct.
obviously there's gotta be some justification that the manager took 3 hours on such and such a day.
And you do
so
quantify
time
it.
collection
Yes.
and
Exactly,
all that.
but time away from work is a really key important element that I wanna bring up, because again, the evidence out there is to say that, again, you need to make it work within your organization, and every organization is slightly different. But ideally, you wanna offer as much as you can on company time, and then have the community supportive piece on the back end, so that when they go home, they also have opportunities to engage in it. So you don't necessarily have to, I'll use the example of, 15-person organization is not gonna have an on-site gym, forget it. But you could partner with a local health club or a local Y and bring instructors on site and allow employees time to engage in that yoga class on work time. That would be an eligible example. Or you could allow employees to go to a neighbor gym or a neighborhood, Y or another school or any type of other organization for an exercise class. But allow them to have that during their work day or before or after work, depending upon your organization.
If our policy was to pay 50% of the insurance, but we said, well, if you take all the smoking and the programs the insurance company provides for you, we'll pay 75%, would that count?
Yes, because it would be
Yeah.
above and beyond. You'd
Yeah.
be going above and beyond what you already got through your insurance benefit. That's correct. So that additional 15% would be the
Yeah.
example. Or if you're gonna say, okay, we're also gonna bring in on-site diabetes educators. If you've been diagnosed as having pre-diabetes or at risk for developing it, we're gonna bring in an on-site lifestyle management program to the worksite to have you meet with an educator to help you manage your condition. That would be something above and beyond what you're doing, and you're doing additional counseling and coaching for those populations.
Is the wellness assessment that we were just talking about, is that a requirement to be certified?
It is, yeah.
So you have to determine how you're gonna go about that.
Yeah, that's one of the, and there's help out there to do that, yes.
Some of the small businesses, I know you said are under 10, and they don't provide insurance for their employees, but they partner with the chamber so that their employees can get insurance through the chamber. Would that qualify for this at all, or anything like that? I mean, Sue's Pet Store that has 4 or 5 employees, she doesn't offer it, but she joins the chamber so that her employees can get insurance through the chamber.
I think that'd be a question that I would send along through the email. Again, there's gonna be a lot of questions like that, so that's a great question. I don't know the answer.
And just to follow up, we are all, the 3 chambers of commerce are part of the Mace Co-op plan. Okay. And we have been told that Obamacare is going to trump everything the state is doing. And how does that affect this workplace thing? We have the Mass Association of Chamber of Commerce exactly has a co-op that provides a discount on health insurance premiums, up to 3% discount on health insurance premiums. And we were told that now that Obamacare is coming in, that plan may go away completely. We've got one more year, that's it.
I don't know that answer.
Have you not heard about that?
I don't know that answer specifically.
You don't know the
Yeah,
answer,
no.
okay.
I've had the question before though.
You have
And
had the
there's-
question
And there's not an answer
There's
yet
not
as
an
yet.
answer yet.
So I think we're still, again, we're taking that next step in Massachusetts and we were kind of trendsetters.
We are,
So,
but
you know,
if
so-
it's gonna be destroyed,
Yeah, so
I'm
we,
confused.
yeah, so
and
we've not,
like,
we don't know what the answer is today yet.
we don't.
Well, I'm gonna write both these down and see if I can
Yeah.
get answers.
And how will it affect this initiative
Yeah.
is what my concern is.
Just to follow up on that, it sounds like if there are folks in the room thinking of developing programs for their employees, that they might want to steer clear initially from having their programs interrelate to their insurance premiums.
Yeah.
So for now,
Yeah.
design your program around, activities that the employees can do and education and training, but not getting a reduction in your insurance because the insurance might shift. So that if you want to
Yeah.
make sure you can get your
Yeah.
tax credit,
Yeah.
at least the next couple of years until the federal changes.
But your business isn't eligible for the tax credit if you don't provide your employees.
I think my guess is that the answer will be that if you're providing access to that health insurance through a co-op, that's probably going to be an eligible. I can't imagine that we wanted to disqualify every small businesses in
Exactly.
Massachusetts.
Right,
If
who
it just
has
didn't
The
Yeah.
intent of the
allow us.
legislation is to encourage more smaller
Exactly.
businesses
Right.
to offer
That's right.
Worksite.
Right.
We just want to give you a short answer on that, but I would agree with that. Another piece I want to add to that is, so many, the wellness tax credit is applicable to both businesses who are starting off implementing the wellness program, as well as businesses who have been doing this for a couple years. I want to emphasize both. But your point is really important, because while giving premium differentials is absolutely kind of becoming a little bit more evidence-based out there as far as what's happening in the insurance world, it typically does not happen at year one of a wellness program. You
Correct.
don't usually start your incentives off by jumping in and saying, all right, we're offering a wellness program for employees and we're starting off by giving premium differential. It doesn't typically happen that way. You build the foundation, you build the trust of your employees, you build the organizational support, you build the culture, and then you slowly make improvements and steps to the infrastructure, to the organization, to the awareness and education, to behavior change, and you incorporate incentives, and you move in that direction. So I would not think, while certainly we would encourage that maybe you wouldn't necessarily dive right into the premium differential, it's also not out of the ordinary that you wouldn't go there in year one, is what I'm trying to say. It's absolutely something that we see as a chronic progression when you're thinking about long-term strategic plan of your wellness program.
Part of that program is a health assessment and a health,
Right.
in order to qualify.
Right.
Yeah,
It
that's
is a
correct.
health assessment by the employee online,
Online.
already established.
Yeah.
I was just concerned, is all of this gonna go away?
Sure,
if
sure.
we get that umbrella?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I think, just to follow up with you wouldn't expect it in year one. The other real big piece is do all that data evaluation and all the collection, because if we can show to the employees that the efforts we made over that first year made a difference, and then that's negotiating things that we can do with other insurance brokers. I'm coming from more the healthcare side. I've been involved with the Mass in Motion up in Fitchburg, but I live in this community, so I was excited when I saw the email, and this can work.
And Fitchburg has been doing a lot of wonderful, wonderful efforts for quite some time, kind of in this arena. But absolutely, I think building the trust and the support of the employees and doing it right from the beginning and banding together to really create that voice, there is definitely, and that's why, really doing